Okay, today we're going to talk about percent of change. And by the end of this lesson, you should be able to say, I can work with percents to find increase and decrease. Percent increase is the amount that we would add onto an original value. So if I wanted to find 75% increase of 8, I can do this in two ways. I first need to find 75% of 8. And I can do this by turning 75% into a decimal and multiplying that by 8. Or I can take 8 and multiply it by 75% as a fraction. Now 75% as a fraction can be simplified to 3/4. That's going to make multiplying much easier. In either case, I get 6. 6 represents my percent increase, or how much I increase. That's not my final answer. I need to take the amount that I'm increasing 8 by and add it to my original value. So, a 75% increase of 8 is 14. If I wanted to find the percent of increase, given the original value and the new value, I would subtract my two values and then find the percent of my difference from my original value. And I can do this again in two ways. I can do it as a fraction, which I could simplify, or somehow see if I can find an equivalent fraction that would have 100 in the denominator. In this case, I can multiply the numerator and the denominator by 25, and I learned that 30 is a 25% increase from 24. If I wanted to do this with decimals, I would simply take my amount of increase, which is 6, and divide it by my original value. And that's going to give me a decimal answer of 25 hundredths, and I know that 25 hundredths as a percent is 25%. So the percent increase from 24 to 30 is 25%. Percent decrease is the amount subtracted from an original value. So if I wanted to find 75% decrease of 64, I would again, just like when I'm finding percent increase, find the percent of the original value. So I would have to find 75% of 64. And again, this can be done in two ways. I can find 75% of 64 as a decimal by turning 75% into 75 hundredths, or as I can find it with fractions by taking 64 times 75% as a fraction. In either case, I would get 48. Now, this is the amount I am decreasing 64. So, to find my new amount with a 75% decrease, I need to take my original and subtract the amount of decrease. This will give me 16. So a 75% decrease of 64 is 16. If I wanted to find the percent of decrease from 90 to 81, I would have to find what percent was taken away from 90. So first I need to figure out the amount that was taken away from 90. And I would do this by subtracting 90 and 81, and that gives me 9. Now I have two options. I can find the percent by putting it in a decimal and seeing if I can create a fraction with a denominator of 100. And in this case, 10 over 100, or 10 hundredths, gives me my 10% decrease. I can also do it with division and finding my percent as a decimal. When I divide, I get 1/10. I know that 1/10 as a percent is 10%. So the percent decrease from 90 to 81 is 10%. Let's review. Percent increase is the amount that has been added to an original value. So my new value should be larger than the original value. Percent decrease is the amount that has been subtracted from an original value. So my new value should be smaller than the original. Now, click on the worksheet that has been put in the folder. Complete this worksheet and show your work. You can go back and watch any part of this video. And don't forget to WSQ in your notebooks.